the Jews
So,
of Yemen,
so, so you mean,
Iraq.
so you mean the course that you and I took together at Oberlin about Islamic history, where the Muslim countries were terribly loving and revered the Jews? That's not true.
Oh, no, in fact, when Hitler admired them so much because made Jews wear the yellow star in the Middle Ages to
Exactly.
walk down the street. They had to walk in the middle of the street where the sewage ran. They weren't allowed up on the sidewalk because they weren't chosen. They were not the chosen people. And I'm just sick of it. I'm so sick of the lies. But I mean, they really have these people who they pay. I'm sure they're paid because you can tell they don't passionately believe anything. They just spout, parrot, and but they're so smart the way they did it, using our hospitality against us.
We will
And
use
getting women to do it is what pisses me off so
as
bad.
I said, we will use your miserable freedoms against you, right? That's exactly what they've done. By the way,
And don't they say that the West, that they look upon the West as a woman to be screwed, mounted?
that's literally coming from me. I'm the one who raised it. So
I
this
know.
this comes from conversations that I've had with, because Arabic is my mother tongue, where they literally say exactly. I'm glad you raised this. The West is a woman to be mounted, the exact translation. And so imagine how. So every time the West engages in generosity, compassion, hospitality, what their mind is seeing: weakness, weakness, weakness. So this is what I call a lack of a cultural theory of mind. Remember earlier I talked about theory of mind, which is
Mhm.
I need to put myself in your mind to be able to have a meaningful conversation. Well, the West doesn't have cultural theory of mind, meaning that they presume that the noble virtues that they express to the other will be fully appreciated and reciprocated. But that's not how it's viewed by the Middle East. It's viewed as weakness. And this is why, I mean, even as I'm a Canadian, right? So I don't have officially a dog in the fight in terms of Donald Trump or not. But the reason why I appreciate Donald Trump so much, among many reasons, is that he speaks the Middle Eastern language.
Yes, he
Even though,
does.
right, he doesn't speak Arabic, but he understands the dynamics of geopolitics, which is,
Yeah,
yes.
he goes, if you don't do it, we're going to kill you.
Mhm.
Do you remember the famous anecdote? I can't remember who said it, where he was negotiating with some Taliban guy and he sent the photo of where his house is or something. Now that's
Yeah,
some
that's in his
gangster stuff
pocket.
right there.
But it is gangster. I mean, it is gangster to control your women like that. And I mean, that is about as gangster as it gets. And they are very gangster and they're very imperialist. I mean, they are imperialist as hell, and they are, they have they believe they are superior to everyone on earth. And I mean, they believe their religion is the only religion, which Christians do too, but they give you, a little out if you're a Jew. Oh, someday you'll see the light, and, before you die, whatever. But they're like, no, no Jews, sorry.
So
You
let me
guys,
give you let me
you're an
give you
embarrassment to us.
yeah, so I'll give you a couple of passages, I mean, or elements from the Quran. And so there are three elements to Islamic theology. There's the Quran, then there is the Hadith, which is sort of the deeds and sayings of Muhammad, and then there's the Sirah, which is the biography of Muhammad. And so that's, if you like, the trilogy. Okay, and so a couple of things that some of your listeners might appreciate. Number one, whenever a Islamic apologist or a Westerner apologizing on behalf of Islam uses the following, be careful. So for
Okay.
example, they'll quote something that says, "Hey, you have your religion, I have mine." Oh, that seems peaceful, yes. But then there's another passage that says, "Kill, kill, kill everything in sight." Well, how could it be? How could it have both? So here we need to go to a concept called abrogation. So Muhammad had two periods of proselytizing. He had the Meccan period and the Medinan period. When he was in Mecca, he spent many, many years and he wasn't able to attract many adherents, something like 150. He actually did preach a message of peace. That's the early part in the Quran, the
That's
Meccan
when he
period.
got the Jewish wife.
Exactly. Later, he moves to Medina. As a good marketer, he repositions his message to be kill, 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 take their women, and so on. Well, now a lot of guys say, hey, I want to sign up for that. Suddenly, the religion explodes. Now there's a problem theologically. How could the Quran have two contradictory statements? One that says, you know, you have your religion, I have mine. The other one says everybody has to become Muslim. Well, abrogation is whenever you have two contradictory statements in the Quran, the later one abrogates the earlier one, it nullifies it. So
Mhm.
every
Right.
single time you get an Islamic apologist going on CNN telling you all this bullshit, most Westerners go, oh, wow, so it really is peaceful. And I'm sitting there pulling my hair and I'm saying, it's complete bullshit.
It is complete bullshit. Well, I mean, and they forgot all about Salman Rushdie. They
Yes.
totally forgot all about him, huh?
Salman Rushdie, which, by the way, I've always thought, I mean, I always use the term honey badger, right? For people who are, fierce and fight for their ideals. I mean, Salman Rushdie has been a honey badger since the 80s when the
Mm.
fatwa was
Yeah.
first put out on him. So imagine if all of the cowardly Western people, and certainly most professors are astoundingly cowardly. Imagine
Mhm.
if they had an ounce of his courage, we'd be in a much better spot.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing thin.